Hello everyone, and welcome to a video that's going to transform how you navigate some of life's trickiest relationships. Have you ever felt trapped in a conversation with someone who just can't stop talking about themselves? Maybe it's a coworker who hogs the spotlight, a friend who needs endless praise, or a family member who turns every moment into their personal stage. If you're nodding along, you've probably crossed paths with a narcissist. And let me tell you, I know how frustrating that can be. It's like they suck the air out of the room, leaving you drained or doubting yourself. But here's the exciting part. You don't have to feel that way anymore. This is how to handle narcissists the Machiavellian way, a full 20-minute guide to taking back control and protecting your peace. I'm going to break down exactly what makes narcissists tick, share 5 powerful strategies to manage them, and point out the mistakes you'll want to avoid so you don't get stuck in their games. Whether you're dealing with this at work, in friendships, or even at home, you'll walk away feeling confident, calm, and ready to handle anyone. Before we dive in, I need your help to keep this community growing. Please hit that subscribe button right now. It takes just a second, and drop a comment below. Have you ever dealt with a narcissist? What's been the hardest part for you? Your stories mean so much, and I read every single one. All right, let's get started and learn how to outsmart narcissists with strategy and smarts. First things first, let's unpack what a narcissist actually is, because understanding their behavior is like getting a map to navigate a maze. Imagine you're at a dinner party and one guest keeps interrupting everyone to brag about their job, their car, their everything. You try to share a story, and they either ignore you or top it with a bigger one. Later, when someone gently points out they've been dominating, they get defensive, maybe even storm off. That's a narcissist in the wild. They're not just confident, they're consumed with being the best, the most admired, the center of it all. Narcissists have a few key traits that make them stand out. There's grandiosity, where they act like they're above everyone else, like that boss who thinks they're a genius while dismissing your ideas. They're also obsessed with validation, constantly fishing for compliments. Think of that friend who posts a dozen selfies a day, waiting for likes. Then there's their sensitivity to criticism. Even a tiny suggestion can set them off, turning them sulky or aggressive. And finally, many are master manipulators, using charm, guilt, or even lies to bend situations their way. Picture a partner who sweet talks you into doing them a favor, then acts like it was their idea all along. These behaviors aren't just annoying. They can make you feel small, ignored, or even question your own worth. I want to share a story to make this real. My friend Rachel had a colleague, Mike, who'd take credit for group projects. Every meeting, he'd talk over her, boasting about his success. When Rachel called it out, Mike played the victim, saying she was jealous. It left her fuming, but she felt stuck. Ever been there? That's the narcissistic trap, pulling you into their world where they're always the star. But here's why this matters. Once you spot these traits, grandiosity, validation-seeking, touchiness, manipulation, you're not blindsided anymore. You see the game, and you're ready to play it smarter. Let's keep going. Now, you might be wondering why we're calling this the Machiavellian way. Isn't Machiavelli that guy tied to sneaky plots and power grabs? Well, not quite. Niccolo Machiavelli was a thinker from centuries ago who studied how people gain and keep control, especially in tough situations. He wasn't about being cruel. He was about being strategic, like a chess player who plans 3 moves ahead. When we talk about handling narcissists the Machiavellian way, we're not saying to manipulate or hurt anyone. Instead, it's about staying calm, thinking clearly, and steering interactions to protect yourself. Narcissists thrive on chaos. They want you emotional, reactive, caught up in their drama. A Machiavellian approach flips that. You become the one in control, choosing when to engage, how to respond, and when to walk away. It's like putting on a suit of armor. Their tactics bounce off and you stay focused on your goals. Let me paint a picture. Suppose you have a neighbor who loves to complain about your yard, your dog, your everything, but their own place is a mess. Your instinct might be to argue, pointing out their hypocrisy, but that's what they want, a fight to feed their ego. A Machiavellian pauses, smiles, and decides how to handle it without losing their cool. Maybe you nod, say, "Thanks for the feedback," and move on, saving your energy for what matters. That's the mindset we're building today. Strategy over stress. It's about seeing the narcissist's moves and choosing yours with purpose. So how do we do this? I'm about to share 5 strategies that'll make you feel unstoppable. Strategy 1 is all about selective attention, and trust me, this is a game changer. Narcissists are like performers. They need an audience to clap, boo, or just react. Every time you praise them, argue, or even get annoyed, you're handing them the spotlight. The Machiavellian way is to take that spotlight away, giving attention only when it benefits you. Let's say your friend is going on about how they're the best cook ever, hinting for you to agree. Instead of debating or faking enthusiasm, try a neutral response like, "That's nice," and change the subject. You're not feeding their need for drama. But here's the clever part. When you want something, like their help or agreement, sprinkle in a little praise to keep them on your side. I knew a guy, Mark, who had a boss that loved to boast about his sales deals. Mark needed a project approved, so instead of challenging the bragging, he said, "You've got such a knack for big wins. Think this project could be another?" The boss beamed and signed off. That's selective attention. You're not ignoring them completely. You're choosing when to engage to get results. Let me give you another scenario. Imagine a family member who loves to stir up arguments at gatherings, picking fights to stay in the center. If you bite, you're playing their game. Instead, shrug, say, "Interesting point," and ask someone else about their day. They'll fizzle out without your reaction. This strategy takes practice, but it's like flipping a switch. Suddenly, you're the one in charge, not them. Strategy 2 is setting ironclad boundaries because narcissists will push every limit they can find. Think of them as explorers looking for weak spots, your time, your energy, your patience. Without clear boundaries, they'll keep taking until you're worn out. The Machiavellian way is to set rules and stick to them. No guilt, no excuses. Be direct but kind. For example, if a friend keeps calling late to vent, say, "I can talk tomorrow evening. I'm not free now." If they call again, don't pick up. Show them your boundary means something. I remember a woman, Sarah, who had a cousin that had dropped by unannounced, expecting her to drop everything for hours of gossip. Sarah got fed up and started saying, "I've got 30 minutes today, then I'm busy." When the cousin ignored it, Sarah left for a meeting. It took a few times, but the cousin stopped showing up randomly. That's the power of boundaries. They teach people how to treat you. Here's another case. Suppose a coworker keeps dumping their tasks on you, saying, "You're so good at this." Flattering, but it's a trap. Try, "I've got my plate full, but I can show you how to do it." If they push, repeat yourself calmly. Narcissists hate firm limits, so they'll test you. Maybe guilt trip you or call you selfish. Don't budge. Your job isn't to make them happy. It's to protect yourself. Boundaries are like a fence around your peace. Build them strong, and no one gets through without your permission. Moving on to strategy 3, mirroring their energy. This one's fun because it uses the narcissist's own playbook against them. They love people who seem to vibe with them. It makes them feel special, like they found a fan. You can tap into that by subtly matching their tone or enthusiasm, then gently steering things where you want. Picture this. You're at a work event, and a colleague is bragging about their latest promotion. Instead of tuning out or competing, smile, nod, and say, "That's incredible." Then pivot, "It's inspiring. Makes me think about this idea I've been working on. They're too busy feeling good to notice you've shifted the focus. I saw this work with a friend, Jamie, who had a manager that loved to dominate brainstorming sessions. Jamie would match her excitement, saying, "Love that energy," then add, "It ties into this plan I had." The manager listened because Jamie had built a connection. The key is to keep it natural. Overdo it, and you sound like you're mocking them. Think of it like a conversation dance. You follow their lead for a beat, then take over. Another example, if a relative's going on about their perfect vacation, say, "Wow, sounds amazing." Then slide in, "I'm actually planning a trip too." You've kept them happy while moving the spotlight. Mirroring disarms them, builds trust, and lets you guide the interaction without a struggle. Strategy 4 is using their ego as leverage, and this is where you turn their weakness into your strength. Narcissists live for admiration. They want to feel like the smartest, most talented person in the room. You can use that craving to get what you need, whether it's a favor, cooperation, or just some peace. The trick is to frame your request as a chance for them to shine. Let's say you need a teammate to finish a presentation. Don't say, "Can you help?" Try, "You've got such a flair for this. I'd love your touch on the slides." They'll dive in to prove they're as great as they think. I knew someone, Claire, who had a neighbor that kept borrowing her stuff without asking. Instead of snapping, Claire said, "You're so good at fixing things. Mind using my ladder and returning it after?" The neighbor brought it back, eager to seem skilled. It's not about fake flattery, it's about being strategic. Another scenario, if a friend's dodging plans, say, "You always make game night epic. Can you commit this time?" Their ego won't let them say no. Be careful to keep it believable. Too much praise and they'll smell a setup. I recall a guy, Dan, who needed his boss to approve a budget. He said, "This project could really showcase your vision. Think we can fund it?" The boss agreed, loving the spotlight. This tactic works because narcissists can't resist a chance to feel important. Use it sparingly, and you'll have them eating out of your hand while you stay in control. Our fifth strategy is planning your exit strategy, because sometimes the best way to handle a narcissist is to limit or end contact. Not every relationship is worth saving, especially if they're toxic. Think of a friend who constantly puts you down or a colleague who undermines you. The Machiavellian way is to step back carefully, avoiding their tendency to retaliate. Start by pulling away slowly. Reply to texts later. Keep chats brief. Say you're busy. If it's a family member who always criticizes, try, "I've got a packed week," when they want to meet. Over time, they'll find someone else to focus on. I knew a woman, Tara, who had a friend group that thrived on drama. Tara started declining invites and saying, "I'm tied up with work." They pushed at first, but she held firm, and they moved on. If you can't cut ties completely, like with a coworker, stay polite but distant. If they ask personal questions, say, "Oh, just keeping things low-key," and redirect. Another example. Suppose a client's always demanding extra work for free. Respond slower, say, "My schedule's tight," and suggest alternatives. Document everything, emails, texts, in case they try to twist the story later. I recall a guy, Paul, who had a toxic mentor. He reduced contact saying, "I'm exploring new projects." When the mentor got pushy, Paul stayed vague and professional, eventually switching teams. Exiting isn't giving up. It's choosing your sanity. Plan it like a chess master, and you'll walk away free. Let's talk about what not to do, because even with these strategies, you can stumble if you're not careful. First, don't argue with a narcissist. It's like stepping into a ring with a boxer who loves to fight. They'll twist your words, play victim, or just wear you out. If they bait you, maybe saying you're wrong about something, try. That's one way to see it, and move on. I've seen friends spend hours debating a narcissist, only to end up exhausted. Save your energy. Second, don't overshare. That charming new colleague asking about your life, they might store your struggles to use later, like gossiping or guilt tripping. Keep it surface level. Talk about movies, not your fears. Third, don't expect them to change. You might think, if I explain how they hurt me, they'll care. Most narcissists don't work that way. They're too focused on themselves. I knew someone, Emily, who kept trying to fix her brother's selfish habits. She'd pour her heart out, but he'd just deflect. Once she stopped hoping for change and started setting boundaries, she felt lighter. These pitfalls, arguing, oversharing, expecting transformation, are traps that keep you stuck. Dodge them, and you're already winning. Let me share a story to bring this all together. Meet James, who had a manager straight out of a narcissist handbook. She'd take credit for his ideas, dismiss his suggestions, and get snappy if he pushed back. James used to stress out, working overtime to prove himself, but it never worked. Then he tried these strategies. He used selective attention, nodding at her boasts but saving his energy for his own projects. He set boundaries while saying, I can handle one extra task this week, not 3. He mirrored her confidence in meetings, then pitched his ideas smoothly. He leveraged her ego, saying, this campaign could really highlight your leadership. Can I run with it? She loved it and gave him more freedom. And when her behavior stayed toxic, James planned an exit, quietly networking for a new role. He didn't just survive, he thrived because he played the game with strategy, not emotion. That's what these tools do. They turn you into the one calling the shots. So let's wrap up with everything you've learned today. You now know how to spot a narcissist, those traits of grandiosity, validation-seeking, sensitivity, and manipulation. You've got 5 powerful strategies in your pocket. Selective attention to control your reactions, ironclad boundaries to guard your space, mirroring their energy to steer conversations, leveraging their ego to get results, and planning an exit when it's time to walk away. Plus, you know the pitfalls to avoid. Don't argue. Don't overshare. Don't expect them to change. These aren't just tricks for narcissists. They're life skills. They'll help you handle pushy clients, demanding relatives, or anyone who tries to throw you off balance. You're not at the mercy of someone else's ego anymore. You're calm, you're strategic, and you're in charge. Here are my final words for you. You are stronger than you know. Narcissists might try to dim your light, making you feel small or unworthy, but that's their issue, not yours. With these strategies, you're not just getting by. You're rising above, choosing who gets your time and energy. You're not here to play their games. You're here to build a life that's yours. Hold that close because no one can take that power from you. Thank you so much for spending these 20 minutes with me. It means the world. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps spread the word. Drop a comment below. I want to hear your story. Have you dealt with a narcissist? What's been your biggest challenge or win? Your thoughts inspire everyone watching. And if you want more tips like these, hit subscribe and that little bell so you don't miss a thing. Next time, I'm diving into how to walk into any room with unshakable confidence. So stay tuned. Until then, keep strategizing, stay true to yourself, and take care.